Hey YouTube, Joyboy here. So today we got a really interesting topic. This again will be about souls. I've talked about souls on numerous occasions and I think more needs to be said. And the actual topic of this video is the origin of artificial devil fruits and real devil fruits. And so if you connect these two things, you get the connection between souls and devil fruit. And so a lot of this video will be covering things that I've said in other videos and putting them all in one place in an organized way to help you better understand my arguments for this theory. But I do have one update that I've been really thinking about talking for the last 5 or 6 months, ever since I first started talking about souls, but I decided to postpone it because there was a little bit of finagling that needed to occur in order to convince you that it was the case, and it would just take too much time for something that was speculative. But now we have a much more concrete argument for it, and I think it further persuades you to my ideas. But anyway guys, let's begin this video. Let's talk about the origin of artificial and regular, or original, devil fruits. And to start off with, I just think you need to know that I believe, and I think you should believe as well, that souls are hugely important to One Piece. If you want a full picture on all my thoughts on souls, I will link every single video that I have made that has talked about souls. Each of them focuses on sort of different elements, and I cameo certain videos or certain topics in other videos as well, because they all of course link together because they're all about souls. But I mean, souls can be used to potentially explain how Blackbeard is able to obtain multiple devil fruits, how devil fruits actually give people powers. It explains life and death in the world of One Piece. There's a lot to be found here, but of course the most important connection is the connection between potentially souls and devil fruit. This one connection gives everything else life. And so what is the real connection between souls and devil fruit? Well, it all pretty much revolves around one panel. The panel in which we get to see the quote-unquote devil fruit cycle. You consume a devil fruit, you get powers, you die, the devil fruit leaves your body, goes back into a fruit, someone else consumes the fruit, they get powers, etc. But how Oda decides to draw the devil fruit when the person dies and the devil fruit leaves his or her body is extremely interesting. When you look at the picture, what does it most remind you of? Well, it most reminds you of how someone would depict a soul. And in fact, if we look at how souls are actually depicted in One Piece, for instance, Brook's soul, when he leaves his body, there is a huge resemblance. And people of the past, like the mod of Orajax and Kuro Naito, have combined this with the line from Jabra, which basically states that there is a devil living inside of him. Like when he refers to his devil fruit, he refers to it as the devil living inside of him. And to consume 2 devil fruits would be like 2 devils, fighting inside of you. It would make your body explode. Having a devil living inside of you could be in some ways translated to, outside of layman's terms, to having a soul, a foreign soul inside of you. I mean, if you just think about the way that he worded it, you have a devil living inside of you. And we also know through Big Mom and other ways that souls are the thing that grant life in the world of One Piece. So when you have a devil living inside of you, I know it's not meant to be taken directly like this, but you have life inside of you. And that would have to come from some kind of soul. So you have the devil fruit, and then you have the soul of the devil. The soul of the devil, which gives certain properties to whichever vessel it enters. So while in the fruit, it transforms a normal fruit into a devil fruit, and then when that devil fruit is consumed by a person or animal or whatever, then it becomes a devil fruit user, or somebody with a devil inside of them. And before I forget, I do want to mention as well that there are actually similarities between the limitations and rules, it seems, of souls and that of devil fruit. We know that one person should not be able to consume 2 devil fruit. We also learn sort of halfway through Pound about Big Mom's soul powers, is she cannot put a bit of soul back into something that has a soul or previously had a soul. So she can't put her souls that she extracts into other people or corpses. And so in that sense, you could say that one body cannot have multiple souls, just like one body cannot have multiple devil fruits. And so with this being established, I've done another theory called the next great power in One Piece. And there's some varying opinions about this. It's definitely something here, but the exact Explanation for what these powers will be is yet to be determined, but my particular interpretation is that there are soul powers in One Piece. And my favorite example for this that a lot of people don't seem to, or not a lot of people, but some people don't seem to like, but I personally find very persuasive, is you have Brook, who is the Soul King. And the Soul King has the ability to manipulate his souls in various ways, and this is probably due to his devil fruit, most people assume. However, his actual devil fruit is the Revive fruit, so it gave him life after death. It said nothing about manipulating his soul, and also he has another ability, which is he can randomly create ice, which again is not even mentioned in the slightest through his name of the devil fruit, right? We just assume that these powers are given to him through his devil fruit. And there's other abilities like this, like we can see two sword users from Whitebeard's crew. One has the ability to produce electricity, Vista has the ability to produce flowers. And then we have Sanji, who can randomly ignite into flame. Zoro has his Asura form, which is crazy. Big Mom also seems to be able to punch the ground and create electricity and fire. And I speculate that all of these things are not powers of anyone's devil fruit or powers of Haki, but rather powers of their own soul. But going back to Haki, I don't think that it's guaranteed that there isn't a connection between these speculated soul powers in Haki as well, because we've seen Brook using his soul powers basically emulate what we would expect from Conqueror's Haki. We can see him use his soul powers to sort of crush the wills of the soldiers in Big Mom's the chess piece soldiers or whatever. Reminds me a lot of Conqueror's Haki, so I wouldn't be surprised as well if there wasn't a link between Haki and soul powers additionally. So if I were to create this video in the future, which I very well might, it would go something along the lines of, what exactly is the origin of Haki, right? Haki exists, we know Haki exists, but why does Haki exist? And my explanation for this would probably be because of the soul. So anyway, going back to soul powers, quote unquote, then if the devil inside of the devil fruit or whatever that gives someone powers is in fact some kind of soul, and if souls in general all possess some varying kinds of powers that may be unique to each person, this would make a lot of sense. Basically, these souls were trapped on Earth. They're very powerful souls with very powerful abilities, and through whatever process ended up creating the devil fruit and the devil fruit cycle, they basically jammed these powerful souls in these things that were able to manipulate in some way someone's own personal DNA. So they basically transform you into the power of the devil, or the power of the devil's soul. Now guys, I understand that this is, for some people, going to be very hard to believe, because this is hella out there. Many people are going to be like, what the hell is this dude smoking, and does he share? And the answer to that is no, but back on topic here. I know it's crazy, but I imagine that the answer to this question will be equally crazy, regardless of whether this idea is right or wrong. So I don't think that you should judge it based on how out there it seems. But guys, I mentioned DNA for a very specific reason, and that's because there is also a tie between devil fruits and DNA. Back when we first learned about artificial devil fruits and Smile, we learned through Caesar and Trafalgar Law that in order to recreate the devil fruit, or by creating the artificial devil fruit, knowledge was required about lineage factors. These lineage factors, which we learned about in the recent chapters, which helped create the Vinsmoke children, which is essentially described as DNA. So Judge and the Vinsmoke are able to manipulate DNA, incorporate various elements of DNA to create augmented superhumans. And so the lineage factor, which is used to create augmented superhumans, is the same thing that's used to create artificial devil fruits. So the artificial devil fruits are in fact altering someone's DNA. And so we currently don't know the difference between the artificial devil fruits and the actual devil fruits, but using this you could potentially speculate that the reason that Luffy is a rubber human is because the devil fruit that he consumed changed his DNA to basically in a way that gave him a completely rubber body. And so understanding this actually adds a little bit of insight into the current limitations of Smile devil fruits, which is that you'll notice that Smile is exclusively zone-type devil fruits, or animal-type devil fruits. They currently do not know how to produce artificial devil fruits, which grants someone the abilities of, say, a Paramecia or a Logia type. And that's really interesting because what exactly is the DNA of fire itself in the case of Ace's devil fruit, or ice itself, or rubber, right? What is the essence of that? That is extremely difficult to pin down and understand. But as far as the DNA of animals, which separates animals from humans and other animals, that is a lot easier to understand. So for DNA to matter in the creation of devil fruits, and for the artificial devil fruits to be exclusively zone types, makes a ton of sense. And so I think using everything that I've speculated here, I can give you my understanding of how artificial devil fruits are created. But the first thing is, and I think this is easier to, understand this or accept this, but it isn't necessarily true because we don't actually have any direct evidence which supports it, but I wonder if the DNA of a person is in some way connected to their soul or their spirit. It's the same thing, soul or spirit. And so if this is the case, then extracting something's spirit or soul, you would also, in various ways, extract their lineage factor or DNA. And so this is what we know about how Smile devil fruits are created. First, you have the chemical known as SAD or SAD, which was created in the factory on Punk Hazard. Caesar was responsible for producing this chemical. This chemical was then shipped to Dressrosa, and there it was like pumped into the ground, right? And into the water of these trees. These trees then absorbed this chemical, and they produced artificial devil fruits. And they utilized the Tantata because the Tantata are some of the best plant growers in the world to help cultivate this unnatural Smile fruit. And so when you really break it down, the really only important thing to being able to recreate Smile is the chemical known as SAD, because everything else is completely natural. You have plant growers and you have plants that are just living and growing. So the secret to Smile lies within SAD. And so I want to direct your attention at something that I've been sort of thinking for a while and recently have finally been able to explain in a very concise way because of recent reveals. But you'll notice that the chemical in the factory, the SAD factory, is actually green. And this is revealed to us in the official colored version of the One Piece volumes, okay? And we also know that Brook's soul, when it leaves his body, is also green. I wonder if a huge component of the SAD chemical is, in fact, souls of animals. Now, the reason that I didn't really want to say this in any of my previous videos is because we also knew that Big Mom's own soul was the black blobs that we saw sort of collecting bits of soul on Whole Cake Island. And so these are not green, right? And so I felt like the color connection here wasn't very strong, while Big Mom provided a counterexample. And I had various ways of trying to explain this, but it was a waste of time without more direct evidence. But now we actually do have a little bit more to go off of, which we learned recently that both Prometheus, Zeus, and Napoleon are also composed of Big Mom's own soul. And they are also not green. And I think the explanation for this is that souls in One Piece are actually colored green, but that Prometheus, Zeus, and Napoleon are all homies containing Big Mom's own soul. So they are not just straight soul essence, per se. And the same would be applied to the black blobs. It makes you wonder, the black blobs aren't straight Big Mom's soul, but rather homies as well. Perhaps animated shadows or something along that lines. Like, it would make a ton of sense for me, or at least it wouldn't not make sense for them to be shadows when you have an animated ball of fire or sun and clouds, right? It would make sense, some sense, for Big Mom to be able to also animate shadows, similar to Moria, but different because Moria merely extracted someone's shadows and manipulated. Big Mom straight gave life to a shadow. And so yeah, guys, the idea is really simple, but this is honestly what I believe right now with the green colored goop inside of the SAD factory, and them specifically pumping that chemical or goop into the ground where the trees are being grown, I wonder if it's just straight soul essence. Maybe the secret to that really, I've actually talked about this in another video as well, but maybe the secret is being able to extract someone's soul. That's the real technological hurdle that someone had to overcome in order to recreate devil fruits, in a sense. And so you're able to extract animal souls because they know how to do that, rather than extract the soul or spirit of, you know, just random elements and things of that nature, like rubber, right? They extract an animal's soul, put it in a container, maybe manipulate it more in some ways that I can't even speculate, and then literally pump that shit into the ground where the trees absorb that spirit and it affects their fruit in a way that sort of transforms them into devil fruit. And I think also the fact that there are trees that are producing these artificial devil fruits supports very strongly the idea of the existence of the tree of the devil in the world of One Piece. The tree of the devil that was actually initially responsible, or perhaps even still today, continuously responsible for producing devil fruit. And it's even possible that this tree isn't even called the tree of the devil, but rather the tree of life, right? Because your spirit or your soul it contains everyone's life force. And so if there's an actual tree of the devil or tree of life that absorbs the spirits and souls of everyone who dies in some way, and then utilizes this energy to create these special fruits, which have taken on and can then pass on sort of the essence or spirits of elements themselves, elements of everything that exists, just would make a lot of sense. It'd be really profound. And also, as another side note, because I'm just feeling like adding side notes today, the fact that the world government seems to understand how to recreate artificial devil fruits makes me wonder, and I've speculated this on other occasions as well, but never with this particular speculation, is, if they know how to do this, I wonder if they are in possession of this devil fruit tree and understand how the process works by observing it. But the difference between the world government's tech to create artificial devil fruits and the real actual tree which produces devil fruits would be their not understanding of how to capture the essence of elements and things of that nature, whereas perhaps the tree literally absorbs the spirits of everything. Perhaps the actual devil fruit tree doesn't even absorb the spirits of anything, but rather inherently possesses the spirits of everything. Perhaps it's the source of creation. What has ever existed, its blueprints are in some way stored within this tree. But anyway, guys, that's enough rambling, etc. This was an incredibly hard video to make, to be honest with you. It's just so out there. If I could choose the rules, then I could make a more persuasive argument. But given that we're following someone else's rules and have to navigate and explain stuff, and it's hard. It's very, very hard. But let me know what you think about this video. Let me know if you liked anything that I had to say, or if you didn't like it or you didn't agree, just let me know. Like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you dislike the video, subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.